Yeah,
Hi.
I like that new tune. That was
I feel so
awesome.
fancy with that intro live music.
Very nice. Hi, sweetheart. How are you?
Oh, it's Tuesday.
It is Tuesday. What's in that
I'm in
cup?
a new spot because I broke the leg on my desk.
Uh-oh.
So
I like that spot. You got a little bit of wine sitting behind you.
I know that I bought that for myself for my birthday, and then I
Your what? What
decided
is coming on?
for my
What's happening?
birthday. You see what
The
it says? What does this say?
birthday!
Can you read the bottle?
Black Girl Magic, red blend. Very nice. Very nice. So I don't know if everyone knows, but Shanita and I are birthday twins. And we are excited. We've never been able to celebrate our birthdays together, though.
Oh.
Today, we will do that.
I feel like we should just not make plans to do it though, because it seems like every year when we make a big plan to celebrate our birthday together, life just happens. Like, I feel like we should just hold the intention that we're
Right.
going to celebrate and then call each other the day before and be like, okay, we're going
Okay.
somewhere for our birthdays
Let's go.
tomorrow.
Right,
Let's
right,
go. Don't plan it out because
right.
Corona will not let us be great this week. So
Right.
I wanted to press pause on our regularly scheduled programming for a minute and just talk about mental health because I got this post and I'm going to read it. And I was like, yeah, we have to talk about this. It's called the Cronacoaster.
Mm-hmm.
It's a noun. It's the ups and downs of a pandemic. One day you're loving your bubble, doing workouts, baking banana bread, going for long walks, and then the next you're crying, drinking gin for breakfast, and missing folks you don't even like. And I was like, not a realer post have I ever seen to describe the myriad of emotions that we go through with regard to this pandemic. And then, of course, I have the dynamics of a little person who sometimes our emotion, our Corona coaster, we're at different points of the ride. So sometimes I'm like, let's walk, let's go. And then other times she's like, I hate social distancing. And she's ready to like fall out. So I was very happy that Chef Vicky was able to come on and talk about the nutrition because
Yes.
you're working on something new. I am too.
You right?
I
We
gotta
are.
lose this corona. I feel like I'm in college. You
Really?
know, yeah, like when you go to college, they're like, oh, it's the freshman 15. It's like the corona 30. Like,
I didn't have that only because I was in culinary school. I didn't have like real college, like,
no, I didn't gain weight in college, but now I know what people say when they're like, oh, it's
wow.
the freshman 15, you gain all this weight. Because I've
Oh,
literally gained quite a bit of
yeah, I
poundage
have to. I have to.
during this virus. And so I'm like, all right, girl. And I don't even know that I'm not eating bad. I'm not as active. I think that the main thing is when we're in the kitchen, we're like,
Like going popping, popping, popping. But I've also kind of changed my career a little bit too. I'm more stable, as in I'm sitting down a lot. I'm in front of the computer.
mm,
Um, coffee is essential. you
girl,
know,
don't I know it? You know I
bake,
know it's
but I
essential.
bake in the evening, so it's not
Mm.
like a full 8 hours of baking. Well, there's sometimes, but you know, um, but I'm about to change my eating habits completely. Speaking of, right, I'm gonna eat while we have our little conversation today.
Go for it. Go for it.
I'm
Okay, so
super excited.
you happy to meet Vicky via StreamYard because that's what
Yes,
we're
yes.
using virtually. But I've been a fan because I met her virtually through you
Mhm.
and just following her career. So before you
Okay, I'm sorry. I'm
dig in
sorry.
too much, can you introduce Vicky and tell us a little bit about her, right,
Well,
Cassandra?
I'm going to just give her a big hug and a lot of love and hugs. What I mean by that, as in, I met Chef Vicky in Haiti, and we were both doing a culinary event there. And I guess just like how I meet all my chef girlfriends, we fell in love with each other. And she's a beast completely. Her mind is ridiculous. It doesn't shut down. All right, Vicky, don't get a big head. You know what I'm saying? I'm just playing with you. Um, um, But she is. She's highly intelligent, very talented in the kitchen, and her mind doesn't stop going. I think all of my girlfriends that I have in my life, and it's not a lot. All of you women are geniuses in your own way.
Mm.
And yes, Shanita, you literally are a genius. People don't know how high your IQ score is. It's amazing. But
I just
back to
can't spell. They think
Vicky.
because I can't spell, I'm stupid.
Stop it. Back to Vicky. I want her to give a small little tidbit of who she is. She's a mother. She's a entrepreneur. She is a author. She is a gardener. She is a awesome sister, friend, chef. And I think that's enough for me to say. I think you should bring her on.
Hi, Chef Vicky. How are you?
Hi,
Welcome
I'm
to
Thank
the
great. How are you?
conversation. Thank you
I'm
so much
so
for getting on with us.
happy. Thank you for having me.
Girl, you have the like this. I'm like, okay, how do I put this whole press bio situation into
It's
a, a
amazing,
few
right?
words? So I'm like, I'm just gonna pick this bottom paragraph that seems to sum it all up, and then she will have to elaborate on all of the fabulousness from there.
it's just, just hard work. It's just I have to put it on paper, you know, but just so that I don't have to repeat it or anything. But I just keep going, and do what God created me to do. So that's why it keeps going, and I don't even realize it. So I'm just focused on making a difference, you know.
So who are you?
Tell us.
Whew, who am I? I'm a daughter. I'm a wife. I'm a, did I say mother? Daughter, wife, mother. I'm a good friend. I'm a sister in Christ to so many. And I love what I do. And in the culinary world, I'm a mentor, I'm an influencer, and I pay it forward. I just want to keep the culinary industry to keep moving forward. And I'm passionate. I'm passionate about the food industry. So both a blessing and a curse at the same time. But
Right.
I love it. Yeah.
Exactly.
What is your background? Tell us a little something. Who is Vicky?
Whew.
Because you
So
told us like a template,
so
but who are you?
So like I said, I'm very passionate, and I'm passionate for education. I'm passionate to teach others. My background comes strong in hospitality industry. I'm a grad. I'm a I'm a graduate of FIU in hospitality and went to culinary school at Cordon Bleu. And I kept on pursuing my education and did dietetics and nutrition. However, I am not a dietitian, but I do have a master's degree in dietetics and nutrition. And in that, I publish my research in food consumption, raw and cook vegetables for first graders. And that was my published article. I'm a public health, half of me is public health and nutrition, and half of me is culinary, only because in my family, we had a lot of comorbidities like diabetes, hypertension, and my son, he's probably the one who cooks, probably the reason why I went back to school and did nutrition, because when he was 2, he almost died. And I decided to do nutrition. And he's the reason why I built a career over it. So,
And I was going to say, I'm so glad you brought that out because people always reach out to me and they're like, yeah, I need to eat healthier. And I'm like, so I'm just not your girl. What you want to do is go to a Chef Vicky or someone in the nutrition dietary field, get the plan and then bring it back to me and I can cook it from there. But I don't know. I don't eat healthy half the time. I'm 25 pounds overweight. So I'm definitely not the chick to be trying to tell somebody how to get themselves together. Don't do My advice is don't do what I do. Eat regularly and don't follow my advice.
but you also have the power where you can do portion control. But from there, you could take it from there. Well, in being a nutritionist and being from the Caribbean, I thought it was very, very important for me to do so, because often in the Caribbean world, or being African American or someone of color, what a design dietetic plan for you by a Caucasian person could be completely different from what you know. And so I've decided to study more into culture and nutrition, so that I could reach more in terms of, okay, if I'm from Haiti or you're from the South, you eat a certain way. So let's look at what you're eating and let's try to modify it from there. And to me, I'll get more of a result like that than trying to tell you
Right.
eat oatmeal every day and so on and so forth. Yeah.
Right. So I went to this weight management clinic. But when did I go? Last week?
It was a few days. Yeah, it was what,
Oh yeah,
Wednesday?
because I called you. And the way that of course, it was all non-melanated people. And so they do your whole situation and they're like, so you're morbidly obese. You're more than 50% of your body is fat. You have what did they say? Had the what is it, metabolism of an 83-year-old woman. And y'all know I
Oh
got
my
a slick
gosh.
mouth. So I was like, well, there's women in Atlanta right now at the plastic surgeon's office trying to get this body. So
Well,
why y'all calling
you
me
know what?
obese?
What's interesting is, for years, and I'm very happy to see that the school I went to, my major professor, her lifelong project was always about to look at different. For example, when they say that you're morbidly obese, does the one size fit all fit everyone, in terms of a Caucasian person versus a African American versus a Caribbean person, because they tend to love, for example, Caribbean folks with African American, in terms of, I'm from the islands. I ate a different way. When I came here, I acculturated myself into a different lifestyle. So is it really a one size fit all with that BMI? And it says, oh, well, you are 5'6" and you're morbidly obese, but is it different from Caucasian versus Black? And that has yet to be fully studied. But one of the things that I truly believe myself is that it's more than that.
Yeah, I
So for me, it's
agree.
lifestyle.
Yeah.
For me, it's lifestyle.
Yeah, I have
It's
another very good friend who's a Latina, and she did one of those like boot camps where they take pictures of you and they do your progress. And she was like, I couldn't complete it because of the food. I'm Latina. I am not going to eat a plain baked chicken breast with salt and pepper and dry rice. Like she's like, I'm
you
just
know
not gonna do that.
it's you're gonna always be what they call non-compliant in the industry. When I graduated, I was entrusted with a program with Healthy Mothers, Healthy Babies, and for 6 years, we no longer do it because it was defunded. But for 6 years, I went in the heart of Broward County. We dealt with mothers and children, and we had a lot of issues in the South Florida community, in Broward County, especially with comorbidities and sudden death syndrome with kids, and also the moms getting hypertension and preeclamptic, before they have a kid. And I went around Broward County, and all I dealt with was Caribbean folks, and that would always be told that they were non-compliant. But one of the things in my class, I would tell them, bring me recipes of what you eat, and we'll look at it in the class and we'll modify it, and then you try the recipe, we'll try to substitute a little bit, but we'll use your flavors. And let me tell you, that made such a huge difference. And they were more compliant. I spoke their language. They understood that I was from the islands too, and you couldn't tell me to eat oatmeal every day and not eat my griot. So
Only
instead
way
of me
I'm
frying
dealing with
my griot, I'll
oatmeal,
bake it.
only way I'm dealing with oatmeal is in a cookie.
Really?
Yes, I cannot
Yeah, you should
stand
try it savory.
oatmeal.
You should try it savory.
Maybe that's what it
Are
is.
you a cream of wheat baby? Hey,
Huh?
Midwest. I'm
I'm a
sorry.
cream of wheat baby. Yes.
Right,
But
right.
then by the time I put brown sugar, butter, half
Oh,
and
no.
half, and
That's
then 3 pieces of toast with butter on it,
and bacon.
No, I don't eat bacon.
Yeah.
I eat the
Not for
bacon.
cream bacon.
Now,
Yeah.
now we all can say as we prepare things, and the nutritionist part of me and the chef part of me fights. We clash all the time. My go-to food is a BLT sandwich. BLT sandwich or mac and cheese with sprinkle with bacon. You would say, aren't you a nutritionist? I'm like, look, I don't eat it every day,
Right.
but if I want to satisfy my soul, I'm gonna do it, and I'm not gonna feel guilty about it.
Hmm.
Now, if I do it every day,
There's a
then
problem.
there's a problem. Just like drinking a glass of wine or two, one might be okay, but 2 or 3 glasses of wine every day, then you're qualified alcoholic. So the issue with people, I believe, is that we have the wrong relationship with food. And
Mm.
True.
so the minute that we start looking at food as something that it fuels our body, we can begin to appreciate it for what it is. And so that's my 2 cents about it. And then planning. And it's really not about being on a diet, because people mistake that. We have a diet. What we eat daily is our diet.
Hmm.
Diet is not something you jump on or
Right.
off. But we need to go back to the Google definition. Even that, I don't usually refer to Google, but Google's definition, plain definition, or Webster dictionary is the diet is what we eat daily. And once we understand that, then we need to understand that what affects our diet is our lifestyle. Then we could start breaking it down and saying, okay, well, I could tell you as a nutritionist, I'm affected by this very thing that I teach people. Why? I work 7 days a week. I have 3 kids. I'm a basketball mom. I'm a wife. And I'm a mentor and an influencer. And I manage a 7,400 square foot kitchen. I never have time. And if I don't plan, I don't pack my lunch, my fruits, my vegetables, I will not eat. I
Me
will
either.
spend the day without eating.
And
So
that's
we
where I
have to
think my
learn to set.
migraines
I
come
think
in.
I'm a perfect example. As we are having this conversation, this is the first time I've eaten today. So,
Yeah.
And I spoke to you at what, 8 o'clock this morning.
yeah, well, I was on the road. I was driving,
Exactly.
you know?
No,
Yeah.
I agree. And I
So
think that my body's gotten so, as I am approaching this beautiful next part of my life that's 40 and beyond, I'm learning that
Welcome
I
to the
cannot abuse myself the way I did in my 20s.
no, you
Mm.
can't.
And my
No, you
body's
can't.
like, girls, no. And so, really, that's where people are like, you have a headache every day. Yes, I do have a headache every day. And
Wow.
that has become my body's internal signal for me to check in with myself. Have you had water today? Have you had
Hmm.
anything to eat? And the level of my headache determines if I'm at a point where my neck is hurting, my eyes are hurting, and I'm nauseous. That's like a little reminder, like, oh shoot, you haven't eaten. You got this whole, and that's crazy. That's crazy.
And, and you're right, because our bodies tend to tell us and or talk to us, but we
Hmm.
often are too busy to listen to it. I'll share something that not a lot of people, and my sister Erica knows about me. I suffer from fibromyalgia. But if you see me, you will never believe that I'm someone who, when I'm not in the public's eyes, I'm, how can I put this? I'm hurt, and I'm unable to cope with it. Sometimes it's hard because my whole entire body hurts. It's incubated by stress, what I eat, what I don't eat. And and you're about to hit 40, and I'm about to go to 41, and I'm asking myself what the world happened. Um and this year, between last year and this year, and Erica knows this, I've gone through hell and high water, to the point where she would call me and she would say, "What's wrong, baby?" And I'm like, if there was a body implant right now, I would be the first one in line to explain to her my level of pain.
Well,
And I've gotten to
and
the
I
point
believe I
where
understand your chronic, it's a chronic pain. And I
it's
understand
chronic
that pain.
pain,
You're
and
right.
it's inflammation, and inflammation is driven by stress and what
Yep.
we eat. So finally this year it got so bad that I had to get full blown test, and finally my inflammatory factors were elevated. So I started gardening like everybody else in the world due to COVID-19. And I started eating more anti-inflammatory foods. I had to not eat spinach, no eggplant, no tomatoes. Tomatoes is a big one. No milk, no dairy, and become more pescatarian. Like with with we still eat meat once in a while, but we eat more. Like today I did salmon. I'll do some snapper, some cod, and quinoa. Put more protein in every day. Have my regimen of vitamins. That, and for the first time, I found a doctor that did not want to prescribe me narcotics.
And I think that's
And
the issue with me going to the doctor about anything. Everybody wants you to take like all of these pills, and I am the type of person that if the commercial says that it's going to cause your left ear to fall off in 0.5% of the people, my ear is going to be falling off. So I already know that I'm going to have the most crazy adverse reaction to it. Anything that's on that bottom of the list are like, oh, well, this hardly ever happens to anybody. I can guarantee that it's going to happen to me.
Mm-hmm.
So I'm just like, don't even prescribe it, because I know that I'm not going to take it consistently. I'm just not. I would rather adjust my eating, look at how physical I'm being, look at how I am, treating my body, and adjust it that way. I can do better. I know how to do better. I just choose not to do better.
There are
So,
different stages of preparedness, so just got to get there and allow yourself to get there.
so ladies, have you noticed that a lot of people are going to herbalists and going the natural route? Um, I I think when I was, and I have to go back. I turned 51, and she's about to turn 40. But I have to go back 11 years,
41.
right? Um, 11 years ago when my endometriosis hit a peak, and I I went into the hospital. I was and they did the scrape and everything, and I lost immediately 25 pounds. It was all that was in my body. And it took them
Yeah.
6 months to figure out what was really wrong with me. I was walking sideways, my body was swollen, horrible menstrual periods, my life was upside down, and I was working.
Because we're still working.
I
All
was
this
still
is going
working.
on.
Yeah.
We're still working. Cut your
Uh,
finger off, still working.
right,
Pain
right.
in your body, still
Going
working.
crazy, working. I should say 72 hours a week, opening up a brand new casino in Biloxi, Mississippi, and losing my mind.
Yeah.
And I pass out right there in the kitchen. They rushed me to the hospital for the third time, and they figured it out. The gynecologist comes in and goes, "Did you guys even check her out?" You know? And that's another thing for us Black women going into the hospital and our doctors not being, um, they're not, what is the word?
They're not listening. They're not
Attentive, they
listening.
don't listen. They don't pay attention.
Exactly. That self care thing, right back on top of us being as a community. I think that we need to take notice one more time.
Yeah.
But I'm just saying, coming back to the all natural. When I was going through that, after I dropped that 25 pounds, I was on folic acid, flaxseed oil, vitamin E. Um, it was so many things. I know I had like 8 bottles of all these natural things, but I felt
Yeah.
so much better. I had the energy. I was
Yeah.
walking 2 to 3 miles a day on the beach because I packed up everything and I moved to here in Florida and started all over again. But I was healthy, and then I lost my way again. But I'm gonna get back to it.
I think
But
we lose
how
the
do you
way.
feel? How do you guys feel about going completely natural and
I
using all?
have been incorporating more natural things in my diet, but I'm going to be honest. My main issue is I do not like to take medicine. whether it's a vitamin supplement, whether it's a CMOS pill. I don't like to take things. I have a terrible gag reflex, and all that I have to go through mentally to get myself ready to swallow the pill, I'm just like, ugh, I don't want to do it. So I have been looking into like IV therapy vitamins, and I think I'm gonna try that. I've heard a lot of people have tried it, and they've been more successful
You
with
could
that.
also you could also get your vitamins liquid. You could also ask your doctor to prescribe you that liquid. But however, you have to remember, for example, they tell you you need potassium, you would have to literally eat 23 or 27 bananas to get the amount of potassium that you would need. But what they talk about nutrient dense food, if every day you kind of regiment yourself into eating each of the stuff that you must eat, eventually your balance will balance it out. Like for me, I had to take a full panel. I ended up, because I would go to Cleveland Clinic, and at some point it was just a lot of young doctors, and I have nothing against them, and there were no African American or even Hispanic doctors that I could find. And at some point I was referred to a Haitian doctor, and for the first time I couldn't believe that the initial talk with the doctor was for an hour. And I was like, "You're giving me an hour?" And she asked me for my childhood. And so she did a little bit of MD, regular medicine plus nutrition, and then a little bit of therapy. So she wanted to see, why am I so wired? Because us chefs, one of the things that we ignore, or maybe we don't realize, is that we're wired individual, and we keep going and going and going. And I could tell you, for me, I'm a bit ADD-ish. To be this creative, I'm all over the place, and a lot
Yep,
of
I'm like,
times
oh, shiny object over there.
that's what I was doing.
Yes.
And a lot of times I struggle in front of the computer because I have so much that I have to do, and I have to keep focusing myself. And she went all the way back to my childhood with me to try to understand, why am I so wired. And the first thing she said was, do you do you congratulate yourself? And I said, congratulate myself for
For
what?
what?
And she goes,
Right.
she went and read about me, and she said, you young lady is a very impressive person. And I'm like, really? I'm like, okay. And she goes, I need you to pause and go like this. And I'm like, I just do what I do, but I am my worst and best friend. I'm always critical of myself. I don't compete with anyone, but I compete with
Compete with
myself.
myself.
And so
Yeah.
I set the standards so high that when I don't reach them, I make myself sick. So I had to go back after she did the panel to go back into that. She saw what I was lacking on vitamin D. You wouldn't believe that most everybody in Florida, they were all dealing with some vitamin D deficiency, which could make us sluggish and tired. And when she gave me the panel, she says, okay, this is what we're gonna do. And I'm like, what do you mean? You're not prescribing me any drugs? And she goes, no. And then she gave me CoQ10. I had the vitamin D, some magnesium, and ashwagandha at night. At first, I was taking in the morning, and I would find myself yawning. And she goes, no, 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 switch it at night. So I'm doing ashwagandha and magnesium at night. And then I do the vitamin D, the B12, the CoQ10, the cod liver oil or omega-3. And then I do a smoothie with protein. What I needed was protein because my body just started eating itself with all of the pain that I was having. And then she said, once you mastered that, then start walking. She wasn't trying to tell me you need to walk, you need to take those vitamins, you need to eat right. So she told me take one at a time.
Yeah,
And
I
here I
agree.
am. She goes, and I'm not gonna tell you you should know this because you're a nutritionist, and because doctors don't take care of themselves. And I'm like, and I
Oh,
appreciate that because I too, as a nutritionist, I'm overweight. And it's not because I eat constantly, it's because I don't eat or I don't function the way I should. And
oh,
I'm
I'm in
fully aware of
survival mode. I'm sure that my body stores every little morsel that I put in my mouth because it's like,
it.
we don't know when she's eating again. So we're going
Right.
to hold on to this. And then about the expectations, do we have the same therapist? Because mine is always like, you have unreasonable expectations of yourself and others. And I'm like,
Yes, yes,
it's not
yes.
unreasonable. She's like, it's unreasonable. Well, so
No,
So
it
now I'm,
is. And Yeah, it is.
So,
I'm
ladies, we are keeping Vicky on. We
yes.
are about to bring on a special guest, one more special guest, and I met Danny a year and a half ago, and she is a shining light. She also teaches yoga, but I'm gonna let her explain everything that she does. But all I know is that when I hear her voice, when she gives me the best hugs, like all her positive energy just takes over my energy, and I'm like happy after the hug.
Nice.
It's amazing. So I just want to introduce Danny.
Hi,
Hi,
Danny. How
hi,
are
thanks
you?
everyone. I'm well. How's everybody?
We're
Very
good. Thank you so much for joining us. So you came in right at a good time where we were transitioning from just nutrition and habits. I was telling Vicky that I had gone to the doctor last
Mm-hmm.
week and they said that I was obese and I kind of hurt my
Okay.
feelings. So I treated myself to a burger and fries from Freddy's. And then we were talking about self expectations and how traditional approaches to weight management and mental health and nutrition don't always work with people of color. And Vicky was
Right.
saying, giving us like the background on being Haitian. And so, if you just want to tell us a little bit about yourself and your
Mm-hmm.
practice,
Mm-hmm.
and then we'll just kind of jump right in.
Okay, cool. Well, don't feel bad about the obese part. I was obese probably most all of my life, according to the standards that the doctors have. Um, but me, I am a comedic yoga teacher. I found yoga, I think it was 2014 when I was going through extreme anxiety and depression. My husband's in the military. Well, he was in the military at the time. He just got out a couple years ago, but we were stationed in Japan. And we kind of had this codependency thing going on. So there was no way I was letting him go to Japan without me. So we all went, but we were basically on the other side of the world. So I was 13 to 14 hours ahead of all of my friends and family. So it was difficult to connect, to talk. He was on sea duty, so he was gone a lot of the time. And I just was in a space where I had to just be with myself. And I really hadn't ever allowed myself to just be with myself. And because of that, I started coming face to face with a lot of things and not knowing how to handle them. It just had me going on a roller coaster ride. So I was being treated. I went to see doctors, therapists. We did talk therapy. I did different medicines to try to balance me out. And eventually I found yoga. So I wandered into a yoga class at the gym we had on base. And initially, yoga for me was just a very physical thing. Um, let me, because I was so used to pushing myself and having to do this and having to do that. So when I approached yoga, it was more of, okay, I'm going to get on my mat. I'm going to master this pose. I'm going to move fast like everybody else. And oh, her over there. Oh, look at what she's doing. Okay, I can do that too. And it was just a very competitive spirit going on within me, and just continuing the negative and unhealthy patterns and conditioning I had allowed myself to adopt. I was continuing that on in my yoga practice. So it started off very physical, but I can't remember how long it took. It might have been close to a year. But there was a specific yoga teacher that I had, and she had a way of getting you to do some self investigation with yourself while you were on the mat, so to speak, to begin to have you kind of put more thought into what you're doing, tuning in with yourself and asking yourself specific questions while you're going through the different sequences and We did a lot of breath exercises and meditation in class, and it started getting me to a point where I began to kind of, I guess, not fall in love, but begin to bring more compassion towards myself when I was on the mat. And I remember being in class, and I realized I had a smile on my face. And it was the first time that I smiled in class. And I remember afterwards, I went to her and I said, I smiled in class today. And she said, "You did." She was like, "That's the start to the journey." So that was pretty much how I got into yoga. And that's the main reason why I share it now, is because it brought me to a space to get to know myself better. So I
Right.
was I was able to get off of all the medication. I began to pay more attention to my body, the different signals my body was sending me. Um, I had been diagnosed with an autoimmune condition, a very rare one called Sjogren's, and it basically affects your lacrimal and salivary glands. It just kind of like zaps all the moisture out your body, so to speak. Um, so I had to begin to learn what worked best for my body nutritionally, but also emotionally and mentally. Because when I began to push myself too hard, when I began to um, have those like negative self talks with yourself, like beating yourself up,
Yes.
I noticed that's when things would ramp up for me. When my Sjogren's would kick in harder. So it was more than just a physical. I had to begin to take it more into a mental, emotional, even a spiritual aspect with everything. Um, but getting back to why I share yoga is because the journey I've been on with it and how it's helped me, I want to share that with others. I want them to also know, especially teaching Kemetic yoga, that yoga doesn't come in one color, one size, or shape. To truly get to know the history of yoga and the practice and what yoga really means, it's not about getting on your mat and doing flexible poses and, oh, I can do a headstand and stay in there for 5 minutes, or I can do the splits. It has nothing to do with any of that. Yoga has everything to do with you finding a greater unity within yourself, your
Mhm.
mind, your body, and your spirit. And for those who don't know, Kemetic yoga is based on ancient African principles and philosophies. Is heavily based in the Kemetic tradition, which is ancient Egypt. Kemet is ancient Egypt. And so a lot of the poses and movements we do mimic those gods and goddesses, those deities that you see on the temple walls, or that you hear or read about in those books. And it's not to say that we're looking at that as another god or goddess to um, bow down to or to worship in a sense. It's so that you can tap into those energies that you have within yourself. So that god or goddess that you see, or those poses that you're mimicking of that god or that goddess, is so that you can begin to remember that you have those same qualities, that same power, that same energy within you, because we're all one. So
That's amazing. I've definitely have started doing yoga, and I do it on and off, and I can completely see myself in what you said. Right now, it's a very competitive thing for me, and I think that I'm just so focused on like mastering the pose and
yes,
getting it right. And I'm like, what do you mean breathe? Oh, I'm holding my breath. Oh,
exactly.
like all that. And I'm like, this is not relaxing. I'm
No.
thinking the whole entire time.
Exactly. And that's one of the biggest components about the practice that I share is the breath. Like,
Yeah.
we begin and we end with the breath, and
Mhm.
we maintain our connection with the breath the entire time. So my teacher was Master Yasir Rahotep, and he he basically what is it? Is it copyright, or anyway, the term Kemetic yoga He got that to a point where comedic yoga can be recognized by Yoga Alliance, which is like the elite like corporation of yoga. Like they say they set the standards for what a yoga teacher is and what you have to do to keep that up. And so he was able to bring that under their umbrella to be recognized as a practice. And he has what he calls the yoga skills method, which is a 4-part breathing technique where when we're breathing naturally anyways, there's a pause after we breathe in and there's a pause after we breathe out. But like you said, we're so distracted by everything else going on around us um, that we forget our breathing, and we breathe high up in our chest versus down deep into our bellies like we did when we were babies. So everything starts with you relaxing and allowing the breath to completely flow in and fill the body up. So your belly is actually rising and falling, and not your shoulders rising and falling. And you consciously take a pause after you breathe in, and you consciously take a pause after you breathe out. And what that does is it begins to switch your nervous system into the parasympathetic. So instead of being, like you said, in that competitive mode and I got to do this and I got to move this way, that fight or flight, you begin to shift into a more relaxed, a more calm state of being. And it kind of gets you into like an alpha state, a more meditative state. So even though you're moving and you're shifting your body into this particular pose, because your breath is connected with it, it allows you to stay more connected with your body.
No,
So
that all makes sense.
it does. So Danny, you're sitting here and you're talking with three um, amazing Black women who are chefs. And
Yes, I know.
push yourself into that.
Yes, blessings,
We
amazing.
I have no children with me at this time.
Mhm.
But I'm still on the go. Um, I'm no longer married.
Mhm.
I am, but I'm going and going and going and going. So, but it's
Mhm.
just me, and I still have no time for me. You know,
Right.
Shanita has children. Vicky has children. They both
Mhm.
are running businesses. They have no time for themselves. What advice do you give to any of us that have all this going on?
Mhm.
you know, how to manage our time to find a little moment for ourselves.
Well, self-care is one of the most difficult things for us to do because we're more focused on the external than the internal. So it was much easier for us to say, I'm going to get up earlier so that I can get to work, or I'm going to get up earlier so that I can wake my kids up or help manage my kids or spend some time with my kids. I would suggest that you begin to create that same type of schedule for yourself. Like, okay, I have a busy day. I'm going to get up a little bit earlier, even if it's just 5 minutes earlier, just so I can spend those 5 minutes with myself. Even if you have to set a timer so that you can just be with yourself in those 5 minutes. The start of your day is probably the best time to do it, especially with you guys being so busy and running businesses. By the end of the day, you're probably just wanting to come home and then just pass out. So I
Done.
would say, yeah, just give yourself 5 to 10 extra minutes in the morning. And this is not for a workout. This is just to wake up, to get up out your bed, maybe make a pallet on the floor next to your bed, but get up out your bed and just have a seat and close your eyes and just breathe and just pay attention to your breath for 5 minutes. And I
I, s-
guarantee you, in just those 5 minutes, it will make a difference for the rest of your day.
I saw you nodding and agreeing when Vicky was talking about the supplements and
Mhm.
the natural I don't know what they're called that she has been incorporating into her diet and in her morning to just
Mhm.
kind of help, I guess, bring it all full circle. Because yes, we
Mhm.
can work out and yes, we can breathe, but
Mhm.
we also have to worry about what we're actually eating and putting into our body as well,
Right.
um, because that's just as important as all the external things.
Mhm. Definitely.
And so, do you advise people, or do you like, do you have things that people can do in terms of getting their mood, because I'm looking at, if we're all being realistic,
Mm-hmm.
we're quickly heading ourselves right back into another stay-at-home order.
Right.
If it's just going to happen. And so I think that we all got caught off guard with the last one, because I know I went into it thinking it was just going to be a couple of weeks.
Yes.
And then a
Yeah.
couple of weeks turned into
Months.
a month or more, and I'm still in the house. So I definitely was not mentally prepared um, for that. So we have to
Right.
the purpose is for us to help people to prepare themselves for this next wave of shutdown. So do you guys, I'm gonna let Danny answer. Do you have tips? And then Vicky, you could talk about tips from a nutritional standpoint, because I'm definitely not going to be able to bake cinnamon rolls and cake like I did for the first half of the last. That ain't gonna work. So eat my
Right.
feelings this next time. It's not gonna happen.
Right. Right. Well, I'm not a nutritionist, but I do work with herbs on a daily basis. And I had to do a lot of my own personal investigation because of my diagnosis, which I no longer claim, but the diagnosis that I had, and ways to make my practice, to deepen my practice. So, um, it's always good to check in with yourself when you're preparing your food, when you're doing certain things. Just asking yourself, is this really, ask your body, because your body talks to you all the time. Hey body, do we really want this right now? And if it's something I'm preparing or I'm craving that I know that probably isn't the best for me at this moment, why am I craving this? What is it that my body's missing that is trying to replace with this one thing that it's so used to, so it wants this one thing? um I would suggest, for me, passion flower has been a really good herb to drink as a tea. Um, Only in the evening. Definitely don't drink passion flower in the morning,
So
because
is
it's
passion
very.
flower like a powder, or is it like a flower like you can just
Hmm.
go to an
Yeah.
herbalist and pick up, or
Hmm.
okay,
Definitely get the leaf and flower.
okay,
Um, I get a lot of my herbs from Mountain Rose, organics.
okay.
But get the loose tea. That way you know where your stuff is coming from, and get a tea strainer so that it's not in those. Sometimes those bags are not the best. They have
Mm.
chemicals and different things like that in them. So get a tea strainer, get the actual herb, the leaf and the flower that's cut up and sifted, and you can steep a tablespoon of that in maybe 8 to 10 ounces of water for about 15 minutes and sip on that. Another thing I would like to add is anytime you're taking herbs, don't add any sweetener to it. And that can be hard for us. But
Yeah,
when you
no
add
sugar.
the agave or the honey, even though those might be better choices than just regular white sugar, it's confusing your body. Your body doesn't know what to do. It's like what I'm going to do, the sugar, or I'm going to get what I need to get from the herb. So it's always best to take your teas without any sweetener. But drink passion flower in the evenings. It's very relaxing. Probably help you get a better night's rest and wake up feeling more energized. So that would be my suggestion.
Okay, you, Chef Vicky.
Well, I'll share my experience since this COVID-19 hit. It was a shock overnight, like everyone else. I became a stay-at-home mom slash business person, all of it. And I realized, oh my gosh, how are we going to do with the food, how we're going to prepare the family. And there had to be a transition. And one of the things that I did, I went straight to my pantry and I started throwing things out or looking at what we had and rearranging the pantry, because the kids, they're old enough to stay home, but then I had to set the tone. I had to do a kitchen makeover, and I don't mean by changing my cabinet. I had to literally assess what we had in the house and put away all, try my best to remove all the junk food and start planning what it is that as a family we're going to start eating, because these boys now, they stay home all day. they roll out of bed to go to school, and now I have to make sure, because they're going to want to eat all day, so I had to make sure I had healthy snacks, or I had healthier options. And so that's the first thing that I did. I kind of rearranged my kitchen and made things available, prep what I could when I had time. But the weeks go better when I actually plan the meal for the week. And if I don't do that and something happens, it kind of derails us. And that's when we start Uber eating, and it's all about the planning and setting that lifestyle, right? And for me, being from Haiti, I now understand why we drink so much tea, and we went in our backyard and grabbed the leaf and we just boiled it and made tea with it.
Yeah.
I had some vervain, some melisse, which is the lemon balm. I have some lemongrass. I have basil. And what people don't realize, you can make tea with basil that you cook with. And parsley tea is also, it can cleanse you. So I have all of those herbs in my backyard, and I'm actually growing ginger and turmeric right now. So I cut my ginger, I cut my turmeric and put that in there. And I'm a coffee drinker, so the morning I have to have my cup of java,
Mhm.
and then at night I have I know it's crazy. And that's the one drug I cannot pass. I mean, I eventually will. I have to say, the moment that I started saying I need to quit coffee, it started tasting more bitter to me than
Mm.
anything. So now I used to drink 5 cups, now I drink 1 cup, and now it's down to half a cup. And some days I'm like, I don't know what's up with this coffee. It doesn't taste right. So my brain is already shifting into,
Mhm.
gradually. And I have to say, once you stick to it, you're gonna fall off the wagon sometime. You just can't be hard on yourself. So
Mm-hmm.
it's like you're
Right.
teaching a kid how to walk. It's gonna fall, gonna get back up, you're gonna help them again. It's the same process. We just need to stop being so hard on ourselves. Like, for example, gardening, something that I didn't think I had a green hand. And I started doing that, and everything is growing. I'm getting peppers, and I have a sense of satisfaction. And like you said, in the morning I go and I water my plants and seeing them growing. I even have sugar cane in my backyard. I mean, you just can't
Wow.
take the island out of the girl. You can't take me out of the island, but you just can't take it out. But it's all about planning and making sure that the grocery, when I go grocery shopping, I want to limit my time in the grocery stores also. So I buy food for the month. And then if I need little things every week, I'll just do it at Publix, and then they come and deliver it here. But I do one bulk grocery shopping. I plan out my need for the month. And yes, my grocery bill has gone up tremendously. But once we plan it out, everybody finds something to eat, and we're able to be on that journey together.
No, that all makes sense. I think that as we move into this next phase of this Corona coaster that we're all on, planning is definitely going to be the way to go. And I do notice that when I don't have a plan for what I'm going to eat, I definitely
Mhm.
Postmate or Uber Eats, and I think that it knows the days that I'm the busiest because those seem to be the days that it sends me a code for a discount. Like,
Yeah.
oh, okay,
Oh.
so you
I'm
caught on
telling you,
my
Siri is
routine.
listening to us, okay?
Yeah,
Definitely.
you caught on to my routine, and you know what days I'm like the craziest. And I always, man, it's Tuesday nights. I always get a code. Always. I'm
Wow.
like, no, I am not ordering this Tuesday.
I think my only day that I eat like a homemade meal is Sunday. It's my day off. I plan it all the way through the week. Like I'm going to eat this. I was so excited because I this Sunday I had oxtails, but I eat small portions, so it's not like it's gonna be horrible for me. You know what I mean? I had oxtails and coconut rice and crack
Mm.
conch and then a super big glass of water. But that was my happiness. But at the end of the night, because I crave sugar, and that's going to be my thing, is weaning off sugar as a pastry chef is very very difficult. I craved lemon pound cake, and yes, I made a lemon pound cake Sunday night. I had that slice of lemon pound cake while it was hot with a big bowl of ice cream. And that was but that's all I had the whole day was
Mm.
a small bowl of oxtails with rice, crack conch, and then cake and ice cream. So I
Yes,
need
for
to figure
sugar.
out. Yeah, it's the sugar thing. It's like it is
But
so amazing to me.
may I say, even a salad can be unhealthy, and let me explain why.
Oh, yes.
We tend to, oh, let me get a salad. Let me go to Wendy's or wherever. And then we put more than 2 tablespoons of salad dressing.
Hmm.
And then what happens? The oil, 1 tablespoon of oil is equal to 120 calories. So then the more we add and we don't measure, we have the illusion that we're eating healthy. So it could be very small, but it could be very impactful. And
Right.
so those are the things
Mhm.
that we need to look into, and being mindful of it instead of pouring, measuring could make a huge difference
Yeah.
in what you're eating. And you could still enjoy that salad, but watch your hand,
Right.
watch your mouth, watch what you could have that salad, the cucumber, the tomatoes, but yet for me who has anti-inflammatory issues, tomatoes harms me. So I
Right.
have to take out the
Mm.
tomato. The cucumber is good for my blood pressure. Then if I start adding chicken and shrimp and this and that and da, 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 and then it becomes a massive 2000 calorie salad. So let's actually be in tune of what it is that our behavior is
Hmm.
and then try to
Right.
correct it gradually, because cold turkey, it will only result into going back into the behavior.
Right.
That's it.
That's true.
And I think that this is like, I have older kids and then one younger kid. And so my mom and I used to always like get into it because she'd be like, I can't believe you let them eat pie for breakfast. I was like, I made the pie. I know how much sugar is in the pie. And you cannot tell me that them having this slice of pie is more harmful for them than a big old bowl of Fruit Loops.
Right.
Hmm.
I,
I
Give the
know
I
it's
kids
spotted
the
my oldest one
pie.
though.
having 7 pancakes and I almost dropped. I saw my oldest one having 7 waffles and I almost dropped. I was like, and he's an athlete. He plays basketball. But then, you know what? His metabolism is not the same as mine. And
Right.
so if he does it once in a while, I'm not going to start being that mother's like, don't eat this or don't. I'm going to warn him,
Mhm.
but I don't want to create an adverse effect of food, because, we parents, I mean, for parents, we tend to create that food relationship with the kids.
Yeah.
Hmm.
So if I had my son, he would only eat ham and cheese or and then a sandwich. I let him have it. And when he was done. And then we moved on. And then I try to, if I did pasta, I put more nutrient dense sauce, more vegetables in the sauce so that I could compensate for it. But I try my best not to create a negative relationship with them when it comes to food. So
Mhm.
it's all
So we'll,
psychological also.
Yes,
right.
it is.
So, ladies, we're about to wrap this up,
I
and
know an hour just flies by.
I know it goes very quick. I'm gonna
Yeah.
start with Danny. Danny, if someone wanted to get in touch with you or know more about what you do and your practice
Mhm.
of yoga,
Mhm.
where can they find you, and how can they get in touch with you if you're doing that right now through COVID, through Zoom or whatever? And also, for you, Vicky, if someone was looking for some of your services, you guys. And then after that, I think we're gonna sign off. So,
Okay.
Danny, you first.
Okay. Well, I am doing Zoom yoga sessions right now, private and group. You can find me on Instagram at Sacred Synergy Yoga. You can email me at crystallotussynergy@gmail.com, or you can visit my website, crystallotussynergy.com.
Awesome. Vic?
Okay. Well, for me, you can find me on Instagram with Chef Vicky, the Chef Vicky on Instagram, and you could send me a message, or you could check me out on the chefvicky.com or prokitchenhub.com. So, and on Facebook also the Chef Vicky. So if you want to get in touch with me.
Mhm.
Awesome. Well,
Thank you,
next week,
ladies, so much. Danny's voice is so calming.
isn't it?
And
I know.
I start on 10. 10 is low. It is low. It's
Yeah,
up from 10.
yeah.
So
Well,
Well,
you,
I
thank you for
thank
inviting
you so
me.
much.
Thank
no,
you
I
so much.
appreciate it. I appreciate it. And I will also go back onto the page and tag you
Mhm.
guys as socials so everybody can just click the link as well to find you guys there. So you
Okay.
guys have been watching the conversation. Thank you for pausing with us and checking in with ourselves. as we navigate this last half, hopefully, God willing, of this virus, and we all start to kind of reprioritize our lives and get back to a space that is in harmony, not normal, but in harmony with all of the things that are important to us. So thank you guys. We will see you guys next Tuesday, 6 p.m. Central.
Our birthday together right here. July
25th is our birthday.
So next week is our birthday week. And we're very, very excited. So in that kind of way, we are celebrating our birthdays together next Tuesday.
Next Tuesday.
Nice.
And are we sure what is our show next Tuesday?
We're going to celebrate our birthday.
Oh, it's just a birthday party.
We're having a birthday party.
Hey.
Virtually.
So, we're excited, if you can't tell, even through this COVID crap. And we're just going to be happy. We're both going into a different time of our life where every day is going to be our birthday from this day forward.
Amen.
We are very grateful and feeling very blessed. So I want to say love you. Thank you, ladies, again for doing this. And talk to you guys. We'll see you next week.
All right. Peace, everybody.
Awesome. Love you.